Hi everyone, so in this video we'll be looking at order of operations, okay? And to begin with, we'll just be discussing some of the rules, okay? And then we'll shortly taking a look at the examples where we applied those rules. So let's start off with the rules. So we've got an acronym which can help us to solve questions where we've got more than one operation involved, okay? And where you're thinking about, oh, should I be doing the addition first, the subtraction, or the division, okay, in those longer questions. So the acronym looks like this. So it's called BIDMAS, B-I-D-M-A-S, okay. So in this acronym called BIDMAS, I'll just go through what each of those letters stand for. So first of all, we've got the B, which stands for brackets, okay, or we can call them parentheses as well. But by brackets, we just mean things like 2 plus 4, okay. And if you've got a question like 4 times by 2 plus 4, okay, you'll be looking at doing the 2 plus 4 bit first because that's where the brackets are, okay. But I will be going through these examples in depth later on, okay, so don't worry about it if you feel like it's not really sitting with you at the moment. And then we've got I, which stands for indices, okay, and by indices we just mean any powers, okay. So for example, you've got your 2 squared, you've got your 3 cubed, or you've got things like even square roots, okay, are classified as powers. For example, the square root of 4, or if we had a question where we've got the cube root of a number like 8, okay. So you'll be expected to solve indices after bracket in any given question where you've got both of them, okay. But that's just what we mean by indices. We just mean powers and square roots as well. The reason why square roots are also there, even though they don't, look like a power really, because we're not raising them the 4 to a power, is because the square root of 2 can also be written in a power form, and it's written as, if I show you, we can also write the square root of any number as a power, so it looks like a half, okay. So if you've got anything raised to the power of a half, it just means you're square rooting it. So you could get a question asked like this, okay, 4 to the power half, or you could get it written like this as well, okay. And then next we've got D and M, which we tend to look at together, okay. By D we mean division, okay, and then by M we mean multiplication. Now, division and multiplication, although the D comes first in BIDMAS, we tend to look at them together, and by that I mean if you've got a question where you've got division and multiplication in it, you will look at it starting from the start, okay. So if multiplication comes first, you solve the multiplication part first and then look at the division, okay, and then vice versa. If you've got division first in your question, you'll solve the division part, then go on to your multiplication, okay. An easier way to think about it is, if you've got any question, you do it from left to right, okay. So any question where you've got both of these operations in, you do them from left to right, okay. Whichever operation comes first has priority in the question, all right. It's not just because the D's first we're going to do them division first always, okay. That doesn't really happen. And then next we've got our addition and subtraction, similar to division and multiplication, the way we deal with them, okay. So we've got our subtraction, and again, if you've got a question where you've got both of these, okay, you will be doing them left to right, okay. to right. And by that, what we mean is, if you've got addition first in your question, okay, you will be solving the addition part first. If you've got subtraction in your question first, you will be solving your subtraction bit first. So it's a key point to think about is just the phrase left to right, okay, with addition and subtraction and division, multiplication. When we look at some examples, this will all become a lot more clearer, okay, so don't worry too much if at this point you're still thinking, I'm a bit confused about how to solve all of this if I've got, you know, a question with division, multiplication, addition, subtraction, etc. Okay, so now we'll be looking at some examples. Example number 1 is 3 plus 4 times by 2. Okay, so we've got in this question, as you can see, addition happening first in the question, and then we've got multiplication. But if we think about BIDMAS, it tells us that we need to be, okay, so if I get back our BIDMAS, tells us we need to be doing our multiplication first before addition, okay? So that means I'm just going to be looking at my 4 times by 2 first, which gives me 8, and then I will be adding on the 3, okay, which finally gives us 11. And then example 2, we'll be looking at 6 plus 3 times by 2 squared, okay? In this question, we've got the function of addition, multiplication, as well as we've got a power, okay? So we've got indices as well in this question. So if we go back to our rules of BIDMAS, we know that we are meant to be doing our indices first before our multiplication or our addition, okay? So that means we'll be looking at doing your 2 squared first. Okay, so 2 squared gives us 4, because it means you're doing 2 times by 2, okay, which is just 4. And you've still got your multiplication by 3 and your addition as well. Now we're just looking at addition and multiplication. Well, according to the rules of BIDMAS, we need to be doing multiplication first. So 3 times by 4 gives us 12. And then lastly, if we add 6 onto it, it should give us an answer of 18. Okay. Example 3, we've got 2 plus 4 divided by 2 minus 1, okay? Now we've got addition, division, and subtraction in the question, okay? So this is where you need to think about the rule of left to right, okay? Because we've got addition and subtraction in the same question, okay? And we've also, of course, got division. So if we go back to our BIDMAS, we know that division comes before any of addition or subtraction, okay? So I need to solve that first before I think about my addition and subtraction. So I'm going to just solve my division part. So that's 4 divided by 2, which gives me 2, okay? Still got my minus 1, and I've still got my plus 2, okay? Now the question is looking like 2 plus 2 minus 1. And remember what we said about if we've got addition and subtraction in the same question, we prioritize the operation that comes first. So here we've got addition happening first, so we're going to do that first. 2 plus 2 gives us 4. Still got my minus 1, okay, which should give me an answer of 3. Okay, and then we'll be looking at example 4, another one, and that is 12 divided by 3 times by 2 squared. We've got division, we've got multiplication, and we've got indices, a power as well that we need to think about. BIDMAS, remember, tells us we've got to do indices first before division and multiplication. So let's solve 2 squared, that's just 2 times by 2, multiplied by itself twice, okay, that's 4. Still got my times by 3 and divided by 12. Okay, oh, sorry, 12 divided by 3 times by 4. So now we've got a question to think about, that we've got division and multiplication in the same question, and we're going to be, remember, solving it from left to right. So division comes first, therefore I'm prioritizing this part of my question first. So 12 divided by 3 gives me 4. Okay, also got to then times it by 4 again, which gives me 16, okay, as my final answer. Example number 5 is 2 times by 4 plus 4 squared divided by 2. Okay, now we've got again a series of operations happening here. We will be looking at, of course, our indices first, so that means 4 squared, because that comes before any of the other operations, okay, according to BIDMAS. So 4 squared again is just 4 times by 4, which is 16, okay, and we've still got the division by 2 plus the 4 and times by 2 happening as well. Now we've got multiplication, addition and division in the same question, okay. Again, if we think about BIDMAS, we have got to be looking at multiplication and division before addition, okay. Now again, when we're just looking at my multiplication and division and deciding what to do first, I need to be doing my multiplication bit first, because that comes first in the question, okay. So if I look at it from left to right, this part comes first, so I'll be solving this before then moving on to my division, okay. So 2 times by 4 gives me 8. So I've got my addition, and then I've also got to be looking at my 16 divided by 2 now, okay, which is going to be 8. And now I can look at my addition sign, okay, lastly. So 8 plus 8 gives me 16. Okay, example 6, we've got 2 multiplied by brackets 2 plus 4 squared divided by 6. Okay, so in this question we've got a lot going on, okay. We've got multiplication, brackets, addition, indices and division as well. And now according to BIDMAS, we've got to be doing our brackets first, okay. So let's look at our brackets. Inside my brackets I've got 2 plus 4, so that's what I need to solve before I look at my indices, which is a power of 2 in this case, okay. So let's break that down and solve it step by step. So let's first do my 2 plus 4, because it's inside my brackets. That's 8, okay, and I'm remembering to square it because I've got a square sign at the top of my brackets. And I've still got my divide by 6 and my times by 2. Now I've got multiplication, power of 2 and division. So I need to be doing my indices first, which is 8 squared, okay, because that's the power. 8 squared, remembering, just means 8 times by 8, which gives me 64. Still got my divide by 6 and my times by 2 over here. So now I've got multiplication and division again in the same question. I need to remember to do it from left to right. Multiplication is coming first, so I need to prioritize that. 2 times by 64 gives me 128, okay, and then I can do my divide by 6, okay, so 128. Okay, so like any other mathematician and any other student does, I've also made a slight little mistake, which I can see now why 128 divided by 6 is not working. It's not going to give us a integer answer, okay. 2 plus 4, sorry everyone, should be 6, okay. So inside here we should have had 6. So that means we should be doing 6 squared, which is 6 times by 6. I'm just going to correct it all in green pen. And then 6 times by 6 should be giving us an answer of 36. Okay, so then if we do our multiplication first, so 2 times by 36, okay, if we double 36, that should be giving us 72. So double 36 should be giving us 72. And then lastly, we've got to be doing 72 divided by 6, which just gives us an answer of 12. So that just shows us that it's okay to make mistakes, and it's good that we spot it. So sometimes if you see that the answer, 120 divided by 6, and it's not really working out, it's not an integer, well then we can go back and just check, retrace our steps to see if we made a slight little mistake somewhere in my previous calculations. If we can spot it, great, then we can go and correct it like I've just done. Or sometimes in the question it might just be that they want you to look at doing division where the answer is not a whole number. Okay, so you can get both scenarios, but it's always good to question yourself. Okay, because in questions of BIDMAS, it's a bit unlikely that they'll expect you to solve a question where the answer is not a whole number. Okay, because that's not really what they're testing. Instead, they're testing if you know how to use the rules of BIDMAS. So we've got example 7, okay, which is square root of 36 divided by 2 plus 1. Okay, so like I mentioned before, indices can also be including square roots. Okay, so we've got an example here. We've got square root, we've got division, and we've got brackets as well. Okay, so according to BIDMAS, we're going to be doing our brackets first. So 2 plus 1, which gives us 3, divided by the square root of 36. Okay, or the square root of 36 divided by 3. Now we've got our square root of 36, which is what we need to do first before division, okay, because indices comes first in BIDMAS. Square root of 36 gives us 6, okay, and divided by 3, which finally gives us an answer of 2. So square root just means a number that I multiply by itself, which will then give me twice, which will then give me 36. Well, I know that that's got to be 6, okay, because 6 times by 6 gives me 36. Okay, and you've got that example there as well at the top, which explains it. So that brings us to the end of our topic of order of operations. Hopefully that was helpful, and if anyone has any questions related to anything to do with order of operations or BIDMAS or any of the examples I've just gone through, please don't be afraid to ask. Okay, leave the questions in the comments. If you liked the video and if you found it helpful in any way, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel for more videos, and also share it with your friends and family. Okay, thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next video.